for the things that are in this budget today, but I have tried to be responsible and recognize that there are some things that I can be for, and that's to increase our revenues to the state gas tax, shared or new. And I want to say that as a Republican, I would be able and ready to go to Phoenix and try to get some of our future legislators to think about how we're going to pay for these road projects that are so in demand in our county. Thank you, Madam Chair and Supervisors.
Thank you, Supervisor Carroll. Supervisor Miller.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a few comments. On the soccer field, Mr. Huckleberry, back in January, there was an article in the Arizona Daily Star, and I'll quote you directly. And it was regarding when Glendale was asking for support from the state for the Super Bowl. He said, in fact, we have cautioned, and our Sports and Tourism Authority concurs, that chasing economic return on the promise of private, for-profit sports entities like Major League Baseball or other sports is an inappropriate economic development course. I really wonder what has changed in the last 6 months. Now, that being said, Pima County taxpayers, we're in a crucial time for spending, for our senior citizens being able to survive this economy. And this is, with this budget, this is not happening. We're not cutting spending down to the core services. With this budget, what is not happening with the proposed purchase of the soccer park? This is $1.75 million out of the proposed $5 million that was now going into this budget stabilization fund, I assume. We don't even know if we're going to get county monies for roads now. And what we have to remember is we're doing this on a hope and a dream. Because if this $1.75 million down payment, if we don't get a bond passed, guess what? Next year you'll be back here looking at another tax increase to pay the $1.7 million per year, 5-year payments to pay for this whole parcel of land, and we'll own a nice parcel of dirt because we won't be able to afford to build these soccer fields on it. When the board approved a 2-year IGA with the University of Arizona a few weeks ago, giving them $15 million per year for graduate medical education, it was clear to me the priorities weren't going in the right direction. Continuing with close to $1 million per year for the communications department. That is not an essential service. I mean, Pinal County uses 1 employee. Continuing to fund items out of the Board of Supervisors Contingency Fund that are clearly ongoing events and contributions to nonprofits doesn't meet the definition of unexpected and urgent purchases, yet we have these year after year. Road repairs in Pima County have not happened for the last 15 years. I'm not telling you anything, you only drive down the roads. As I said, we have received an average of $33 million per year after the sweeps and bond payments, and this is directly from Mr. Huckleberry's transportation report I received in 2013, and I'll be happy to share that with anyone that wants to see it. The Sheriff Department funding should be among our top priorities. Public safety is crucial. That includes both the sheriff, the courts, the prosecutor, and the public defender offices. Grant monies that previously supported our sheriff department have dried up. And what we did is we act as like many do when they're getting bonus money on their paychecks, they start spending as if this is going to continue forever. Rather than planning ahead, we now find ourselves in a very difficult situation. Employee raises. Employee salaries were suggested as a decision package, but it is set to be funded within the current budgets of the various departments. Funding of these raises is not being done, yet we continue donating $15 million per year for graduate medical education for medical school students at the University of Arizona. We continue funding TRIO, our economic development department, $450,000 a year, and the return on this investment has yet to be seen. I think someone said somewhere around 800 jobs in the last year, while Phoenix continues booming. We haven't cut the communications department. As I said, Pinal County has 1 communications employee, and we are spending an additional $4.5 million on parks allocated in the flood control department and loop projects that we cannot afford. This is a slap in the face to all of the employees of Pima County. $200 million in certificates of participation for various debt incurred, such as on the courthouse, will be having a significant impact on our primary operating budget. This is non-voter approved bonds that have been issued. This is debt, this is debt that has been approved and is shifting debt from the secondary to the primary budget. No, they're not bonds, it's debt that's issued against an asset. Instead, Pima County Board has continued spending on these items that we can no longer afford. If this tax increase of 61 cents per $100 of assessed value is approved today, our general fund reserves are projected to be at 3.6%. That is down from 4.8% last year and down from the optimum of 5%. This is a possible impact, this could have a possible impact on our bond rating and our ability to receive favorable rates on future bond issues. This will bring our primary property tax rate to $4.27 per $100 of assessed value and is close to a 17% rate increase for the primary property tax rate. Seniors on fixed incomes can no longer afford to absorb these increases. Families are struggling to survive on low wages due to lack of jobs, yet we're talking about investing in a soccer park on a hope and a dream. I have seen no data, no studies, no analysis. We're just saying, yeah, it's going to happen. Just like baseball was going to happen. And we're putting it in an area where baseball failed. This doesn't make any sense to me. The economic recovery hasn't yet begun in Pima County, and for the past 15 years, the roads have been allowed to crumble. That is a core service, and we are acting irresponsibly with taxpayer money if we approve this budget and this tax increase today. I've outlined my concerns, and I again feel that we are not prioritizing core services as we should, or working together to rebuild the trust of the taxpayers if we approve this budget today. Thank you.
Supervisor Carroll brings up an interesting point with the sheriff, but that speaks to, I think, a larger issue, and that is the funding of our entire justice and law enforcement system. That's 62% of the budget. Much of the need to raise property taxes is a result of justice and law enforcement. So I would ask Mr. Huckleberry, and I would ask my fellow board members, whether it's the county attorney who has perhaps the highest trial rate in Arizona, or the cost to the indigent defense system. I think that it's time to, as we talk about accountability, to reinstitute our Justice Coordinating Council, and this time the council's got to have real authority in budget decisions so that no one component of the justice and law enforcement system can gain advantage over another. This is what drives most of our budget, and I think there needs to be accountability there.
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Carroll.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. And we celebrate the fact that Barbara Lawal has done work that's made her recognized nationally. But one thing that she has done consistently since taking office was to keep our trial rate way high, 3 times above the national average. And yesterday, just in Presidio Park, I had the chance to interview famed defense attorney Joe St. Louis, who gave me a very recent example of, I'm not a client.
Thank you for clarifying.
I just want that clarified. I've never had a problem that way, but he is a very famed attorney, and I do want to say that he had a felony recently that he was ready to plead, and it went to trial, and it didn't work out for us or the taxpayers. It worked out against us. So I do want to say it's been an issue that another defense attorney, Bob Hirsch, before he worked with us, our indigent defense group has always made it very clear, from Susan Kettlewell all the way to the current staff, as well as Robert Hooker, who delineated very clearly that that trial rate drives our justice in court and law expenses through the roof annually. And I hate to question it because, you know, you have to be then ready to go back to school, pass the bar, and run against Barbara Lawal. That's not what I intend to do. I ask that you will join in some of the belt tightening and think about taking the trial rate to what's the norm in the nation, not what's best on the front page, but what's the norm in the nation to bring down all related costs of justice and law enforcement. And that's from a long experience in dealing with these budgets each and every year. Thank you, Madam Chair, for bringing it up. And I'm expecting to hear from Barbara Lawal very soon.
Madam Chair.
I hope it's not in the courtroom.
There she is now.
Thank you.
Supervisor Elias.
I just wanted to make a couple comments here because I think they're important. The subsidy that's gone into helping the graduate program for doctors at U of A Hospital South has been a success. We are training more doctors who are going to stay here in Tucson and practice. And while we've been doing that, we've been busy saving people's lives on the south side. I'm not ashamed of that. I think it's important. This community had a huge discussion about that, and we recognize the importance of the geographic locations of hospitals. There are no other hospitals, public hospitals, south of Broadway. That is an issue for people, for mothers, for children, for any of us who drive to the airport and may get in an accident along the way. It just might be that one of those folks would save your life. And God bless them. I hope they continue on doing their work. It's important to all of us. It's a wise investment to have a hospital on the south side of Tucson. Unashamed of that completely. We have continued to fund the sheriff in a consistent manner, and 60% basically of our general funds go to fund public safety. 3 jails, 3 courts, sheriffs, Pima County attorneys. We've done a good job. They've done a good job. Yes, I think it's a good idea to bring back the Justice Coordinating Council with some work to do, because it's a huge expense. We have to recognize that, but we also have to honor them for doing the work that they do. I'll do that right here and now because I'm proud of every single one of them. Do we have issues that need to be confronted? Yeah, absolutely. Because we can always try and do a little bit better, and that's where a big part of the money goes. You know, there's also been a lot of discussion about these soccer fields and their locations. And it is an area where we have a lot of things coming. A lot of homes being built in that area. A lot of additional investment being made by the private sector. And we've provided a portion of that land that we're looking at purchasing to provide more opportunities for private investment on that property. This is not just some soccer fields that are going to sit there by themselves, folks. This is something that's going to be good for us well into the future. So the opportunity is huge. It's right along the interstate. There's nothing wrong with that area. I'll stand up for my brothers and sisters in District 2 on the south side, just like I stand up for the people who live in Barrio Hollywood, just like I stand up for the people who live on 12th Avenue. I ain't ashamed of none of them. I'm proud of all my brothers and sisters. I'm proud of the areas of town we live in. Enough said.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to add one more comment. When Supervisor Elias was discussing the roads and how it did benefit his district, here is the perfect example of how soccer fields are not benefiting other districts, and I just would like to add that point.
Actually, soccer fields, if those dollars circulate in this community, benefits the entire community.
Well, that's if. That's a big if.
Well, it's
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Carroll.
Madam Chair, I just want to say, you know, there has been studies by Visit Tucson, by the U of A College, other school, on these tournament facilities, but I'm not here to defend or change the dialogue. I'm just here to say that I've seen the reports on the Fort Lowell turnout, and the Board of Realtors that puts it on, thank you. Staggering, and it's community-wide, the benefit. I just don't want to let that comment go without correcting what I see as the perception. Those dollars, Fort Lowell soccer tournament, where it started and where it is today, benefits all of us. And with a kid that plays Division I sports, I want to say it brings scholarships to kids. Okay, I know a lot of kids that went through soccer, whether it's TSA, the Tucson Soccer Academy, or whether it was just through the YSL. I want to say that a lot of those kids have made me proud to know them as they went to Stanford, as they went across to the Ivy Leagues, as they went all across our nation, doing a full-time job and getting their education because they went out and kicked some grass. And thank you very much for bringing that up, so I can say I think there's a huge benefit for this community in that soccer stadium.
Thank you, Supervisor
Madam
Pettit.
Chair.
Supervisor Elias and Supervisor Miller.
I was going to go ahead and move on into approving these
Okay.
budgets, but if
Supervisor Miller.
Supervisor Miller has another comment on
I
it.
just have one
I'm
comment.
very willing to
The
hear
same
it.
thing was said about Major League Baseball, and I think we all know what happened there. Thank you.
I think you're comparing apples and oranges, but,
Madam Chair, once again, just to stop, I'm talking about Fort Lowell soccer tournament. I live a half a block from Fort Lowell Park. Talking about these types of tournaments are county-wide beneficiaries. Okay, that's what I'm bringing up. So I hate to be corrected and have the perception change of what my comment was. My comment is, yeah, these tournaments are kind of county-centric, and they are proving a benefit to the county. And that was proven by the Eller School and Visit Tucson studies that I've seen.
thank you,
I'm not a
Supervisor.
stockholder of FC Tucson, but I appreciate Coach being here.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Elias, we need to close the public hearing for the budget and the truth and taxation first.
I'll move to close the public hearing on the final budget and truth and taxation. Sir.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Supervisor Carroll.
Oh, yes, I'll close the hearing. I'll move to close the hearing. Yeah, I mean, I'll say, thank you, it's been a long hearing.
Supervisor Elias?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
No.
Supervisor Valdez?
Aye.
Chair Bronson?
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on then to Board of Supervisors.